quorum now.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay.
Pay my taxes if I was any later than this.
Now, when he, and also look at me when you talk to me.
Oh, me
but
too.
Both my hearing.
I've done
aids are gone.
70 already so far this year.
Oh, really?
Well, I can hear
Yeah, I'll go home and
It's
do
just
taxes too.
that loud
I
shrieking
did
noise that my
mine,
wife makes
and
that I
then I did it
can't hear.
online,
so-
and now I can't get back
I'm just
online.
kidding. It's
That's
just that,
called selective
IRS
hearing,
and Social
Paul?
Sec- I'm trying to get my social
Is that called
security right now, too.
selective
We-
hearing?
Yes,
And both
yes.
of them
That's
are
what she calls
using
it.
and I get the
No,
two-factor
I
authentication.
can hear most
but
everything.
no one else uses photo authentication.
And there's no outside
And they
noise
just
around
changed
here,
it to photo authentication
except for Kathy.
this year. And I'll be darned.
I can hear when it's just me and somebody
I
else.
try to upload my photo ID and it won't do it.
I had to do my, license, no, it was my passport.
Yes.
Oh, my God, what a nightmare. I mean, I still have like about 10 pictures. It's not the greatest picture in the world anyway.
Right,
You know,
right.
From trying to get that on, going through the computer.
Yeah.
It wouldn't do it on the phone. I did finally get it.
Did you?
But I can't even remember how I did it. This was before I went away
Yeah, right.
last year, so I don't know, but,
So the last meeting
the-
didn't count?
they call themselves the nerds or
Probably
something.
not.
You didn't
There
get
was
it
no
with one of those companies,
didn't
and
have
they'll
quorum.
help you get through, yeah.
Wow.
Cause I
Gina,
almost
let
went
me
there
ask you a
for
question.
taxes.
The last meeting didn't count,
Because,
but it didn't have a
I
quorum?
couldn't figure out where they came with one number.
Correct.
What?
They came up with some number, you
We
know,
can't,
it's
we can't even
TurboTax.
start, we can't
Oh,
discuss
right.
anything if we don't have a quorum.
Oh, okay.
So at the last meeting, there was no quorum,
Yeah.
and
Maybe four?
Kathy had a couple of things that she wanted to discuss. We had a audience full of people, but unfortunately, we had to shut it down before it even started. So you're approving the minutes from the December meeting,
Okay, but those are, yeah, okay.
and the agenda is pretty much a copy of the agenda from February's meeting.
Yeah,
But we did add, the old Delaney house. Everything else was on February's
okay.
agenda.
Oh, but the one thing we didn't get there was, the proclamation on here. Is it on here?
The agenda was already sent out before the proclamation came.
It was?
Yeah, because I just did that Friday and got that on the board, so we're gonna just have to talk about that.
Oh, on the board, it's on the board agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Now, well, that's the most important place. Are you giving us something?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, oops.
Okay, everybody, the axe is gonna fall. Calling this meeting to order, so stand up and give a pledge of allegiance. Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll have a roll call and verification of quorum.
Bud Osborne. Paul Granin.
Get here.
Candace Bellamy McPherson.
Present.
Catherine Turner Thompson.
Here.
Cynthia King. Melissa Bowermaster. Lynn Turk.
Yeah, here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. We have approval of the minutes from December 9th.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
All right,
A second.
approval from Kathy and. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed unanimously. and now, who's speaking about the old Delaney House in the historic district?
I'll do that.
Placement window, okay?
Because we had a permit application, permit number BLD 2025-03404. It's the old Delaney House Historic District, Floral City. Permit is for window replacement. The permit application job description indicates exact replacement, same for same, as part of the LDC code. We are required to review all permit applications that go before the building department and anything that has a historical zone designation. Therefore, this application has come before the Historical Resource Review Board for review. I provided you with the information that was provided for the permit application. There is not much information on it. There is a brief description of the windows. They are casement windows. There's not too much to say about them. And there is a sketch provided towards the back of the description that indicates the location of the windows, as well as a brief description of the work to be performed in the windows as well.
Do we have any photographs of the building?
No, we do not.
Is this something that needs approval?
It will need approval according to the LDC code. It is something to be reviewed because it is within the historic district
Okay. But not today, right?
today.
We do need approval?
It is on the agenda to discussion for today. Yes.
Speak up just a little.
It is on the agenda for discussion today.
What you saying?
He said it is on the agenda
Oh, okay.
for
okay.
approval today.
Oh, okay. So, anybody got any questions for him?
Are they replacing the windows with the same type of window?
Yes. It does say exact replacement on the application.
Yeah.
And what is the, what are the existing windows? Do we have that?
You have everything that we have.
Can we,
You said casement, I think, right? So are they all casement windows?
are they 1/2,
It can't be.
2/2,
Everything has that
2/4?
gigantic-
What was there originally? Is this what's gonna be there now? Those are the questions I have.
And the framing stays the same? I would assume it's wood
Are you-
framing.
Can we bring it up on a computer on the property appraiser's website?
And we have it's kind of.
According to the description, there's not any grills or grating in the window, so it's gonna be all glass, all pane, according to the descriptions.
Well, just in reading this, it's a two-story wood frame home.
What page are you on, Candy?
It has some windows.
On the
old
back, the
style with
picture.
lead weight and some windows.
Shows that's two pa- it's
Oh.
two stories.
Apparently where the window that they're calling unit, 209 has some rot to it. And we'll be needing some reinforcement replacement there with 1x6.
You know, if I'm reading this right, this house was built in 1936.
Right, so it says, yeah.
When was the house built? 1936?
That's what it states.
Okay.
Where, what page?
Here,
Top.
here's the-
It's
Top right.
Relatively
1936.
new.
Oh.
I mean, they're not gonna, it's compared to the
36.
other homes.
See, it's only almost 90 years old.
Yeah. And it was during the WPA.
Yeah.
All right, any more questions?
I would,
Kathy?
oh, is that it?
Okay.
Are they gonna look the same, basically, as? what-
According to the job description, yes.
Yes, okay.
they're gonna be two over two there. Is the door staying or going? These two on the front, those are two, they look like.
Door's gonna stay, according to the description, door's gonna stay. Total of 15 windows are being replaced.
So where does it say 101 and 102?
No grills in 101 or 102. It's not a 2 over 2, it's just gonna be a straight glass pane window.
Will they open and close?
I think the side ones, do, but not the front ones. Front ones look solid.
So it's gonna be 1 over 1, is what you're saying, Mark?
Yes.
Let's see the side windows, what they would be.
Any more discussion?
Yes,
I'll go hear a motion to approve,
motion to approve.
okay?
A second.
And a second, I can't do Candace. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we got 4 ayes.
Could I ask a question? Is there any way that we could get this information before the meeting so we have a chance to, look it over, digest it, and we're not just presented at the meeting? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Also, this is an advisory board, not a regulatory board.
Yes, yep.
I'd just like to do a reminder of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we will now hand this off to the vice chair.
Oh, okay.
If we could hold up on that real quick, Mark wants to make an
okay.
introduction that we overlooked.
Oh,
I'd like to introduce Mr. Eric Landon. He's our growth management director. He
Okay.
oversees multiple departments, and this is one of them, and this is also part of his
okay.
department as well. part
Good
of his
afternoon.
oversight.
I usually have a conflict at this meeting, and they just happened to cancel today. So we want to take a moment and just thank you for your service to the county. Thank you for everything you do to preserve the history with the county and those special places that, if no one's watching, maybe they'll go away. So thank you for keeping your eye on the county and keeping an eye on our history and your service to the county. So I just wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate you.
Good.
And
Thank you.
I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Well,
You're in good hands with Mark. When I've ridden around with him, he knows what's down every street, every alley, every stream, every creek, and he gives me the history on everything going on in the county. So you have the right guy on the job. So we're thankful to have Mark as well.
I know.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
What
All
was
right.
his job title?
Let's give ourselves a hand.
Growth Management Director.
Okay, we ready for the vice chair?
Oh, I'm sorry. The first thing is the certificate of appropriateness. I had this at the last meeting, and I don't know, did it go out to all the board members from that last meeting? Certificate of appropriateness?
The last one it did, yes.
Okay.
It was the last agenda package.
So you all should have this certificate of appropriateness. And I know that Mark reviewed it and gave me the code of ordinances and other numbers that are needed for this certificate of appropriateness. And I would like to ask the board, or entertain a motion from the board to accept the certificate of appropriateness so that Mark can forward it on to the next level, so that we can get this approved. And this will become what an applicant would need to fill out when they're making changes. And so this would help a lot with, it'll help a lot with something like this. It'll tell us more about the structure in depth. It lays everything out. And so that's what I'd like, if you all would approve that. So, Mark.
Y'all have a motion?
Can I see it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I didn't get that.
You
I don't
didn't?
know.
Oh dear. Do you have it?
What's that?
Basically, it's a boilerplate point kind of
I guess she didn't have it either.
candy.
Kenzie, yeah.
Yeah, I sent it out before the last meeting, or I sent it to staff.
I was out of commission, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, but didn't it go out in an email, Gina?
I believe so, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
I do have the agenda packets from the February meeting, and I have a sufficiency checklist attached.
There's that one. There's also the application for certificate of appropriateness.
So it's called, in short, a COA. And so what this objective is to acquire a little more information if it comes before this board for recommendation.
What do we have before this?
Nothing.
Nothing? Well, I like this. Oh,
Well, it's something I think we have to have for the CLG, along with the Historic Preservation Ordinance and so on.
Thank you.
well, do I have a motion to approve this?
I believe Mr. Hamer's gone to get a couple copies.
Oh, thank you.
I believe Mr. Hamer's gone to get a
Oh,
couple copies.
okay.
So everybody can view it before you make a motion or adopt anything,
All right,
okay?
all right. Well, in the meantime, do you want to talk about committees?
Yeah, sure, if that's okay, Gina.
Can we go ahead and talk about committees? All right.
Okay. I think at the last board meeting, we handed out a draft of some committee ideas that would go along, well, it didn't go along so much with the ordinance, but now, let's see, I have a draft that does. And did you get that, Gina? The draft for the committee structure looks like this? I'm thinking I sent this stuff because I knew it wouldn't get anywhere without you getting it. So this is, we had talked about, a grants committee, I think, and we talked about a marketing committee, and these were things that, in a more rough form had been before, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to the certificate. This is a very common document that's used among historic preservation commissions. The city of Inverness has one like this. Ocala has one very similar. And so it just asks, who the property owner is, the contact information and so forth. And then it's a checklist. It's a checklist of, the materials that are gonna be used, if there are any drawings, and it even has, for signage to be installed, and I don't know if that's really, well, it is, it would be applicable.
Yeah, we've had that come before us in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I move to accept the COA,
Well,
application
we
for
got a-
certificate of appropriateness.
A
From
second.
Candace. And we got a second over here. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Pass unanimous.
Right, now it'll go before the commissioners at this point.
Okay. Let's get back to committees.
Committees.
Let Vice Chair.
Yep. So what I did was, with the committees that we had originally talked about, I went to the Historic Preservation Ordinance, and do you all have? Okay, Mark, I guess, committee, this draft that I sent to be distributed? Does, no one has it either?
I don't have that.
Well, basically, we had discussed some committees in the past, and one of the goals was to maintain the structure of the system for surveying and inventorying the historic properties. And that comes from the Citrus County Historic Preservation Ordinance 101-10, line 35, item 4. These also fold in with the certified local government, because as you all know, our surveys that we do have are very outdated for architecture and structures in Citrus County. It was done back in 1992 by a lady from Gainesville. Her name was Murray Laurie. She was a historic preservation architect, I think. So long ago, 1992. So we all know that that needs to be updated, and the certificate of appropriateness is one of the things that we would need to accomplish under that goal, as well as funding and grants. And then I just laid out some action steps. Goal 2 is the maintenance of county-owned historic sites and structures as per Citrus County Historic Preservation Ordinance 101-10, line 35, item 3. And the United States Department of Interior guidelines. This is the U.S. Department of Interior guidelines. They talk about things that are appropriate and compatible with historic structures. So that's basically that. Let's see, and then goal 3, develop and educate and create an awareness plan for the HRAB here. You know, it was funny, I was talking to, oh, I don't know how funny it was, but I was speaking with someone here in the county, and I said, I referred to the Historical Resources Advisory Board, and they didn't know what I was talking about, which doesn't surprise me. But we really do need to get out and, let's see, make people aware of who we are and what we're doing. I think that would help us a lot. And then the last is to develop a partnership plan. You know, partnership plans are very important in historical preservation because basically you need all the help you can get. I even came up with a sample list of possible partners, and I can pass that around. I'll start with you, because it really does take a whole group of people to accomplish it, and Mr. Landon, was it? Is it Mr. Landon? Yes, he's right. Things are gone before you know it. I remember when back in the 90s, when in the middle of the night, they tore down the stone Church of the Nazarene out in Hernando on that corner. And do you know, to this day, that corner still sits vacant, but the church is long gone. That was a WPA project, I think, also, was it?
It was in that time frame.
Frame.
And the trees too. The trees too.
Right. So,
That's quite a list.
did you have that, Mark? Okay, so where did mine go?
Another one coming up, like, are we ready for, or is that-
Pardon?
You got another one of these things coming up?
Another one of what things? The
Yeah, all the
goals?
committees.
The committees?
Printed paperwork I need to go make copies of.
Okay. Okay.
It's all one at a time, right?
Well, since these didn't get out.
I apologize because we had the December meeting, we were
Yes.
going to, so with the delay in the February meeting.
You can have this.
Do you need another one?
So Kathy, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you, like the committee, you want grants, what do you foresee that committee's objective
Well,
in doing?
now Mark is going to be talking about this, aren't you, Mark, also, about the grants?
Not today, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
But as far as committees go, where would the committee members come from?
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they would get, their group of people to assist them with that committee.
I don't know if if we have enough people to,
I believe we had talked about doing a strategic workshop at the February meeting, and we were going to discuss all these items. Not that we were going to vote on them today, but we were
No.
going to have like a strategic planning,
Okay.
if that's ringing the bell for anybody, but that's what's coming
Yeah.
to my mind.
I believe we're gonna have more of a discussion as opposed
Yes.
to an action.
Right. Yeah, definitely on the committee things, because, but there's 4 committees, that's all there is. There's not a lot of committees. And I think that, well, everybody has the committees, a structure now in the draft that I put together. So if you all will take it and take it back to wherever you do all your best thinking.
Yeah, well, I like the part that says ask for volunteers or have Tody appoint chair.
Well, that's not today, though, so
Okay.
Tony. And I volunteer. I'll volunteer, but not for all 4.
Okay. Well,
Which one would the grants come under? We've got maintain
It would come under goal 1.
one,
Mm-hmm,
okay.
mm-hmm,
So the goals of the committees, the 4 committees?
mm-hmm. Well, these goals are goals that come right out of our historic preservation ordinance. So,
well, this is all going to be volunteers, correct?
yes.
All right.
That's like us, right?
Yeah, yes. And there are people out there, now where is that list that here's some ideas of possible partners that, as volunteers, we might look to these organizations for possible partners. They're out there. Now, not all of them are local, but that's okay, I think. Anyway, that was it on that.
Right.
I don't know how else to get work done, really.
Right. It's not, it's not a bad idea at all.
No, not at all.
I think it could only help.
It's just something we are discussing?
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. Anybody have any other questions for Kathy right now at this moment? Okay, you wanna move on to the historic courthouse work?
Yes, there's been a lot of work going on around there, and I don't know if Mark can update us more on the more recent stuff, or do you want me to start at the beginning?
I don't really have any updates, except for I know they put the handrails in. There's some issues with the handrails that still need to be addressed. There had been discussion about the lighting and landscaping, but as far as any action to take place yet, I haven't been presented with anything new or different from the last discussion, other than the handrails were in. There needs to be some attention given to that yet.
Yeah, they did get the ramp finished, and the second go-around was much better than the first go-around. And I think they're actually starting to use the ramp for the building because people really needed to get into the building. And when the lift came out, then there was no access for
Made
people.
it difficult.
Yeah, accessibility. I was over there this weekend, Saturday. I volunteered for a couple hours there. And there's 2 bucket trucks or 2 big lifts. They've started to paint the columns. I think it's not the light color, buff color, but more, or cream color. It's more of almost a white color. And so there was a worker there Saturday, actually, for a couple hours painting some of it. I know that on the columns, especially on the front and other areas, they've gotten the columns are like 18 feet tall, and they're like, I think there's sections of like 6 foot tall, 12 and 18. And you can see there's like a rib around the concrete. Somebody's been able to get up to about 6 feet the first go around. And they've done some amazing, I guess you'd call stripping of the paint, chipping, from the, I didn't know that it was chipping that much, but they've gotten all the way down to the concrete. And so I suspect then they'll have to, now Mark, do you know, they'll have to probably put a primer and then paint. Isn't that typically what you do?
Typically, unless the paint that they're gonna be utilizing does have, it depends on the paint that they're actually gonna use for the finished product. Some paints do have a primer base to them,
Okay.
but I would think that they would put a sealer, primer sealer, which would help the paint bond between the existing structure and the new paint.
Yeah.
It would be more of a bonding agent than primer.
Right. I guess my big question, and I don't know if it can be answered here, maybe we can get somebody to, by this time, I don't know if it'll be done, because we don't meet again till when? June?
I
June,
don't know if anything's been rearranged because the other meetings didn't have a quorum or not.
Yeah, but isn't it
That
right?
would be
It says every
June.
2 months.
right now it's June is our next meeting.
My big question is that, of course, there's these new windows that are gonna go in, and they're vinyl, or aluminum clad. It was supposed to be with a more brownish tone wood color, but now it's gonna be black. So, they're putting black window frame aluminum windows in. They're taking the wood ones out, and, that's what they're putting in. And they're painting, and they're doing landscape. Now, I know that they've taken a lot of the coontie and a lot of the other trees or bushes or whatever off. That was one of the things that we first did when we did the restoration. There had been previous, there was shrubs around the base of the courthouse in the 60s, 70s, whatever, and those were removed during the restoration because they were causing water penetration issues into the building.
And a cedar tree.
Yeah, well, the cedar tree died. It was struck by lightning, and that was taken out. So, the only tree that's original to the square is the large oak tree on the northwest side. On the northeast side, where there's a large oak tree, that was put in sometime during the early 1990s, I think, by Altruso during an Arbor Day event. So that's the younger of the two oak trees. All the canary palms are gone now. They bit the dust. And, of course, they're going to be doing this landscaping, and my question is, what's going to come first? Are the windows going to be put in first, and then the painting, and then the landscape? Or can we find that out, Mark?
I would think.
I
the
can, but I
landscaping
don't.
would last.
And I can find out, but what will we get out of this?
Order, order
Is
and,
it self-curiosity, or is it information that the board would actually be able to utilize for?
yeah, well, I would think that, there would be a process. Because in my mind, if you're doing the landscape now, and then you have to go back and put in windows and paint, you're going to go over a whole lot of new sod.
I don't think that's an oversight of the board, though.
Okay,
I don't believe it's our position to tell the contractors how to approach their job. We're an advisory board.
okay. Well, if they do put the sod in and then it's damaged, who's going to be responsible, I guess, to replace the sod if the sod is damaged?
I could find out for you.
Okay, it's almost like the ramp thing. The ramp was installed, and then somebody else had to come back and do something with the railing or whatever. But I just think from a, kind of like a due diligence, yes, we don't approve anything, but we do make recommendations, do we not?
We do,
Okay,
but I don't think it's of the board's interest to recommend to contractors as to their approach to do their job.
okay, fine. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
While we're talking about the historic courthouse, I think I saw something with the Inverness City Council getting in on some landscaping or
Yeah, they're
improvement
doing,
around there too.
they're doing,
So is that that's two different?
It's two different, the city owns outside the sidewalk,
Right.
essentially. The county owns inside the sidewalk.
So they're both gonna be doing landscaping? Hopefully they're on the same page.
As it says here, we are not responsible. Though we should be able to give recommendations for any structures in the city of Crystal River or Inverness or on federal or state
Yeah.
land.
well, that was a part of the purpose of, I think, when the HRAB was created back in 2002.
Huh?
Yeah, I think that was part of the reason that the HRAB was created back in 2002.
Okay, well, I'm just reading what's here.
Yeah,
Okay, missions and goals and things.
right.
And are they still underneath the grant, the old courthouse? It's a 10-year grant, it ended last year?
No, that was the Hernando School.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I just wanted to see they were under a 10-year grant.
But the building is still on the National Register of Historic Places.
Okay,
And if you go outside of the realm of what is appropriate and compatible with National Registry sites, you can lose your listing.
okay. So,
That's all.
any more discussion on the historic courthouse work? We will move on to grants.
Okay. Well, Mark said he wasn't going to talk about it, but a couple of weeks ago, I met with Mark and the grants person with the county, and anybody that's on the HRAB list, the solicitation for application came out April 1st, and at this time, there's no moving forward with a survey, a updated survey or design guidelines. So that's it for grants that I know of. It'll be, what, April 20?
April 26th is the window. When we first met, if we were gonna try and get an application in, we were looking at like 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
I don't think that's adequate time to do a state grant.
Yeah, especially when, it's new for everybody.
So we're looking at taking a little better or slower approach to it and having the application in for next year, next April, and working with the state and the information that they can provide so we can have a quality grant application.
So the county does have a staff person hired that does grants?
Yes, we do. Yes, the county does.
Yeah, okay. So,
So that's.
And she has already started gathering some of the information, and I have some information I'm gonna provide her as well. But the county does have a grant writer.
all right. Any more questions on the grants? Now it's time for my favorite time. We are now open to the public. Please come up and state your name. Talk to us.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Sean Dries. I grew up in Homosassa and Crystal River. I live in Tampa now, and I have the pleasure of owning the Chaslewiska Hotel, owning and stewarding that historic piece of property. My hotel is not currently listed on any historic registry, and I'm coming before the board today for your recommendation for a local designation to help preserve the hotel and the history of it. I have brought a few photos, and actually the bigger placard is a chronicle write-up about kind of the history of the property from where it was to where it is now. Basically a recap of what you'll see on the placard is this property record shows it as 1910, but there's been letters and ledgers and accounts of this predating that quite some. We had a guest that's a historian that, said this played a role in the Spanish-American War as an outpost and all that. And then during the renovation in the early 2000s, they found a letter dated 1854. So quite an old building. It has gone under extensive renovation in the early 2000s. We're not looking to change anything from its current state. We're just looking to preserve it going forward. So, be okay if I approach and pass these out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is more of a before. And this is a little bit heavy, but this is kind of an after. And you can see the Chronicle write-up talking about the ledger and the letter they found during the renovation. So,
Was this the Strickland family?
correct.
They were
Strickland
the
family.
second owners.
I thought that was
Yeah.
the place.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Cato's built it. Cato?
I'm not sure
Yeah.
predating the Strickland family. I know they owned it for a number of years, and then it was sold outside the family. And then,
Back.
yeah, David Strickland acquired it in the early 2000s and did, all the work that you see today. But long history in the Strickland family, for sure.
Got any old photos in there?
You want to see some?
Well, yeah.
I brought a photo album, if you're curious.
Okay. Oh, the little Case of Whiskey Hotel.
Oh, yeah. So if you flip from this to the front, you'll see some of the renovation, taking it from where it was to where it is now.
Yeah.
So I'm not super familiar with this process, so Mark, correct me if, I talked to Mark previously of what I'm looking to accomplish, and I believe it's a local designation. Okay, and I have not submitted the application for that, but I did want to get that in front of the board for your recommendation and on the minutes and all that.
This.
Yeah, oh, I remember.
Oh, come on, yeah, I don't remember that.
I might have some pictures of it too in my possession.
Okay,
I would like to find out who the original owner was. Now, I do know that, of course, the Likes owned a lot of that property, in and around the Springs.
correct, yep.
And I believe about 1890, the Catos built this house. And
That would probably track.
Yeah, and then in 1910, the Stricklands were ran out of Homosassa, and they went down to Chaswistica. And that's when they bought it in 1910 or so. But I would love to research and find out actually who the original owners were. Because
Yeah.
if it is the Catos, I have some other stories.
Yeah, one of the Strickland family members is quite a historian, so I need to sit down and take him a lunch and record some of the stories, because he knows he's a wealth of information about maybe not predating the Strickland ownership, but
Yeah,
nonetheless.
no, it's great.
So you are looking for the blessing from this board?
I am,
Okay.
and go Gators.
How do we go about this?
All right, let me interject on that. I'm gonna discuss local historic designation during staff comments and what I have intended for that.
Right.
So I can address your concerns when it comes to staff comments,
Okay.
unless we incorporate it now and we'll just consider it my staff comments. This will still be part of open to the public, but for staff comments, we have to establish a procedure and a guideline for local historic designations. We don't have that procedure established yet. I'm working on it because we still have the one from Inglis that request a process.
Right.
Essentially, it has to go through, an applicant will have a form to fill out. They submit the form, but along with that form, public notice has to be produced. And notice to the public has to be sent to all the property owners that are joined to that property that's going to be affected by this designation as a source of public notice of information. The disclosure has to be provided to them. There's a due process that all of this has to be done in order to qualify. it's systematic, but we don't have a policy and procedure that has been written and accepted by the board yet. That has to
Okay.
be presented to the board. I will have that written and put together, and policy put together, and I will get it in front of the board for review and hopefully approval. At that time, once we have that policy and procedure in the forms and the applications and everything, then I can provide it to you.
Okay.
You fill it out and provide it to the board.
In lieu of that policy and procedure being created, is there a way to move forward with this designation?
No. I say that in the short term because without public notification, we cannot move forward.
Right. You've got to give all the surrounding landowners a chance to know what's going on. And it's just, I don't think we're gonna have time in the next 2 months to get it done.
One of the issues becomes the Historical Resource Advisory Board does not have a budget. Okay, we do not have funds to send certified letters to all abutting property owners when they come before the board. So there's a number of issues that Mark needs to address, figure out whose responsibility is it. You need to send them certified mail, so that's a little more pricey than just the regular US postage stamp. So there's a couple of things in play, if I'm not mistaken, that Mr. Hammer's working on trying to streamline the process so we can have a process. Like he stated before, the sign, the historical sign that C.J. Hoyt brought to the Historical Resource Advisory Board in the past, we still haven't been able to finalize her request, because there's certain things that have to be done, and some of those things cost money.
What would this designation be called that we're talking about
It
here?
would be a local historic designation,
That would be the name of it?
essentially.
Local historic,
Designation,
Designation.
same as national historic designation. You have local historic designation, state historic designation, and a national historic designation, or the three tiers.
all right. It's not changing the zoning in any way or the land description in any way?
No.
When something gets designated on the National Register of Historic Places, there's no notification sent out to the adjacent property owners?
There is, it's within the ordinance that notice must be sent. It is within the ordinance.
Could I suggest something?
Sure.
I own most of the surrounding parcels of this hotel, and I would be willing to pay the costs associated with sending certified mail to whatever property addresses you would require. And if that would be amenable, is it possible that we could do that in a time frame where basically the sign, as if people oppose it, the process would be to come here for the next meeting in June. It's April, notices go out near future. They've over, close to 2 months to prepare, and if people have complaints, it could, maybe that's a streamlined process. As the sign says June, whatever, you can come before the board and voice your concerns if there's an issue. I don't know. Because then the property owner could pay for the mail, the posting, and then all complaints or comments could funnel to this meeting in 2 months.
I don't want to speak hypothetically on anything in timeframes until I have an approval from the commission that they accept the application form. I need the form to be accepted before I could even say that the form can be filled out. So if I don't have a form that can be filled out, I'm very apprehensive to tell you that it can be done in an expedient nature.
Gotcha. So the form that has to be approved from the county commissioners would be not the form I fill out, the form for the policy? Is that what you're saying?
All incorporating, all encompassing, the policy, the applicant form, and the procedures that have to be done.
Okay.
I don't want to say, yes, that this policy is great and we're gonna move forward with it when that policy has to be approved by the commission.
Gotcha.
Mark, could you read what you're seeing in there where it,
That's what I'm looking for right now.
And prior to it going before the Board of County Commissioners, it would need to have legal's review as well. And that can be timely.
Can we tab this one until the next meeting?
Why does
Huh?
the national, for a national register recognition, does it go to legal
Well,
or,
all we can do is recommend,
I'm
right?
just trying to think.
and,
This,
Of
Okay,
course.
but we
so it's
don't
right
have
here.
the procedure.
It's part two, okay, section 101-5, historic structure and district designation procedures. Part two, review and adoption procedure, Historical Resource Advisory Board. The advisory board may, after public notice and public hearing, recommend select geographical defined areas within the county to be designated as historical districts.
Well, this isn't a
That's very-
historic district.
Yeah, this is, historic district
Yeah.
is different from
Yeah,
it.
Excuse me, aren't we
you're
just
right.
talking about a hotel?
Yeah, we're talking about, I'm still trying,
Yeah.
pardon me,
I
I'm
mean,
trying to read
why
through
is it
all
a
of these,
district?
and I misspoke. This is not a district. I misspoke and I read the wrong line. I'll get back to you later, all of you later with this line.
Okay.
I have time to look for it and I'm not under the gun.
Okay,
Kathy?
so,
Sorry.
yes, you're right, the, being nominated and, being approved to be on the national register is something totally different than the local level. The local level designation requires a lot less, process and a lot less, it's not as, detailed as the national register, but I would think for either one, the more research you have done on the property, the better that would be. And is there any reason that further research couldn't be done? Does anybody know?
What's that?
That further research for the property couldn't be done?
Well, yeah, well,
I mean, I can submit, I can submit a typed paper with,
Yeah.
with
No.
way more support for this. I don't think there really needs to be much more research at this point. There's a lot of research already done on the property, predating the Stricklands maybe, but I think at that point, we're already in 1910. It's
Right,
a
right.
pretty historic
Yes,
structure, just
yeah.
with
So, the Chazawiska Hotel is on the Florida Master Site File list. And I thought we had identified about 100 structures from the Florida Master Site File that had been tagged or flagged as historic structures. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
So, if it's already part of,
but that's not the issue that Mr. Hammer is addressing. The issue is that we didn't have a policy in place.
Okay.
Or
That's-
application in place. Now, on the national side, the state had their whole application packet ready.
Yes.
The county has not had a lot of,
Interest or applications.
Requests
The
for it.
the issue is, we don't have a procedure. Regardless if this has to be mailed out to everybody or it doesn't go to anywhere. We don't have a procedure. We
So
don't
we
have a
need-
policy. We don't have an application.
okay,
So
And that
we
has
need
to be created.
We
Okay.
need to have an application
process.
just like the certificate of
Drafted.
appropriateness.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We need some sort of policy and procedure drafted. We don't have it, and without it, we can't move forward. You can't just,
And then
we,
it- this-
as a board, cannot just go to the county commissioner and say, hey, we want to give this a local designation.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Can we recommend to the county commissioners to have an application process? Can we ask them that?
That's our job.
Okay,
That's what we're working on.
all right, all right.
what was the record that you were talking about where it might have been listed? Was that with this?
The Florida Master Site File.
Okay. and what-
Those are, the Florida Master Site File is a list of architectural and structures and archaeological sites here in Citrus County, and they come about either by a result of somebody individually putting it on the Florida Master Site File. It comes about from a survey, and in this case, the 1992 architectural survey that was done for the county listed the hotel as a historic site. And so I'm just thinking, what, now, you want it to be designated for the purpose of,
I'm just trying to preserve the history
Yeah.
there, and we adjoin the state land, so like the Chaswoods boat ramp. I'm sure everybody's heard about the county versus district, but regardless, that state-owned land is one of the abutting properties. So under their mission to conserve the area, if this had a designation, that might be a succession plan from when I am from me. So it could become part of the state as
Yeah.
far as without the designation, they probably wouldn't look at acquiring or preserving it. So
Right,
you know, my lens is just how do I be a good steward of this, and you know, what does it look like, you know, after my tenure with it. So
And get it recognized for what it's worth.
I think you're doing the right thing, and I applaud you for
Me too.
Yeah.
going the mile to do it. And we, this board, and we need to get our stuff together here and get the application drafted and,
it's nice to hear that it's recognized already by so how would I find a copy of what you mentioned?
Florida Master Site.
Yeah.
Is there like a website for that, or?
Yeah,
no?
you can go to the Department of State Division of Historical Resources, and I think they have a section for the Florida Master Site file, and just give them a ring.
Okay.
They'll send you one.
and when this county first got the GPS department, they went back and kind of redid some things too, and I'm sure it's showing on the county information too, as it being
Okay.
historic.
Is that the,
Awesome.
the list?
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay,
think that's
so-
all I have.
Well, we'd love to see you in here again and see if we can help you out, but we're just, right now, our hands are tied so far.
This is still part, again, under 101-5 Historic Site Structures and District Designation Procedures. Number 1, Review and Adoption Procedures, Historic Resource Advisory Board. The advisory board may, after notice and public hearing, recommend certain properties be designated as historic structures or historic sites.
Okay. What is the space that's got to be sent out? How far away?
At least 10 days prior to such hearing, the advisory board shall notify the owners of record as listed in the as listed in the office of the property appraiser who are owners of property in whole or part within 500 feet of the boundaries of the
That's what I
properties to be
thought,
affected.
500 feet, so.
So
These are all in.
I think those are all me
Kathy?
in the state. So
All right, well, I mean,
That's fine, but you
Yeah.
still have to have an official notice sent to yourself.
okay. Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe we can do this off record, but as
we-
far as
Yeah, but it
satisfying that requirement.
does state within the review process, even for structures and sites, after notice and public hearing.
Okay.
So hopefully we can say that we're gonna move forward with a application form and process of notifying property owners that are adjacent.
I am trying to create a policy and procedure.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
I think
thank you
just
for-
lit a fire here.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
all right, well, now don't go away because I'm the Crystal River Anthology Guild. We do a calendar every year. When this is over, I want to talk to you about getting some pictures.
Sounds good.
Staff comments.
I made mine. I had mine.
Okay. You don't have any?
That was it. I was gonna tell you, I was gonna try and work on the policy for local designation. We did have a meeting about grants in terms of the survey. I'm still waiting to hear back from the state because initially with the Department of Emergency, not FEMA, but the other one, they're working with FEMA and the National Park Service, and they offered to provide us, this county, with a survey which would include historical sites. I had listed Homosassa, Chassahowiska, and Azella as the areas of interest. So if the grant comes through from that, or if the availability comes through from the Park Service for that, where they provide the survey for us, essentially on the western side of the county, then we don't need to ask for that to be included in our survey, and that'll give us additional areas for the survey that we're requesting the grant for. So we're waiting to hear back a little bit from one grant to see as to the areas that we're going to request so that we're not overlapping areas. At the same time, working on moving forward with the grant application from the state for the next cycle of next year.
Okay.
So there's two different parts moving right now with the grants for the updated survey.
All right.
And I'm trying to put together some sort of process for local historic designation to be recognized.
Okay.
So, I
Nothing
just
from
have a
you?
question from, so it is gonna be called local historic designation?
If that's the general listing as to what it is within the state
Yes.
and
And we
National
could
Park
probably,
Service.
we could call it for short LHD.
If y'all want,
I'm joking. But,
it's for y'all to discuss and decide. If the board deems they would like to have a name that's more fitting to their desire, then that's for the board.
That's good.
I'm just reading off a piece of paper.
okay,
All right,
I-
you done?
I have,
Kathy?
the Florida Master Site file number for the Chazawiska Hotel.
We give you this.
It's CI for citrus. And then basically it's 00345, or just 345.
00345.
Yeah, 345.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And then the last thing was, next month is National Historic Preservation Month. And so I had sent a little proclamation, and Gina is going to get it put on the BOCC meeting for April 12th, is it?
May.
May 12th, I'm sorry.
May.
May 12th?
May 13th, I believe.
May 13th.
I would have to, I'll send out an email, but we will need, the Historical Resource Advisory Board to go before the board to accept it. Now, that is done right after the Pledge of Allegiance and stuff, so you won't have to sit through the
One.
entire meeting,
Shortly after 1.
okay?
Okay, so it's up to you guys, because I'm not going to be there. Sorry.
When?
On
In May?
May,
Oh,
yep.
well, I'll be here.
Okay, good. Well, not here, but you know.
Oh, okay.
May 15th? You said, that, isn't that a Saturday?
It's a
13th.
May 13th.
Should be a
Okay,
Tuesday.
that's it, Cody.
I'll be at a
Well, we're gonna move on, and find out when
Convention.
we're meeting again.
Our next meeting is scheduled for June 2nd,
Okay,
Monday afternoon at 4 p.m.
okay, June 2nd, 4 p.m.
Second Monday.
Everybody got that down?
Mhm.
Any other questions from anybody?
Yep. What about the sign at the old fairground?
Huh?
The last sign that remains at the old fairgrounds.
What's, uh-oh,
Are you gonna pull it?
the old sign?
At the Davis King Fairground site
You
in
know that one-
Lecanto.
Oh, yes, do I know about that?
Wait, I thought you said you're pulling it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's still there.
yeah. Well, no, I've got the other ones at my house, got them shined out.
Bring my tractor down there, pull it out for you?
Okay, just a second. I'll answer all your questions. Meeting adjourned. I'll tell you all about it.